With the new My Lowe's Pro Rewards American Express card, earn 3 points per dollar spent on Lowe's qualifying purchases for the first 6 months after card account opening. Plus, save 5% every day on eligible purchases at Lowe's and earn points on eligible purchases everywhere else Amex is accepted. Card members get more at Lowe's. Subject to credit approval. 5% can't be combined with any other offer. Exclusions and restrictions apply. Points subject to loyalty terms at Lowe's.com/terms and credit reward terms at Synchrony.com/MLPRA-terms. Visit Lowe's.com/business credit.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack. Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along. Which is why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/zip. ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. It finds them for you. Its powerful technology identifies people with the right experience and actively invites them to apply to your job. You get qualified candidates fast. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ZipRecruiter.com/zip. That's ZipRecruiter.com/zip. ZipRecruiter.com/zip.
Howard, I'm so glad I saved your number. My husband fell at a construction site and is in critical condition. I knew it wasn't safe.
I'm very sorry to hear that. I just want to let you know I'm here to help. Yeah, tell me more about it. Work injuries not only affect the victim, but also everyone around them. Inc. Law is Chicago-based and here to advocate on your behalf. With over 100 attorneys and staff, if you or someone you know has questions about a work injury, call 312-6-million. Injury law made personal. That's Inc. Law.
From your favorite source for Chicago White Sox talk, delivering news, interviews, analysis, and more. This is the Sox Machine Podcast with your hosts, Jim Margulis, James Fegan, and Josh Nelson.
Thanks, Rob, and welcome to a special edition of the Sox Machine Podcast. I'm your host, Josh Nelson, and it's Wednesday night, May 27th, 2026. A big happy birthday to the Big Hurt, Frank Thomas, as he turns 58 years old today. And what better way to celebrate after a Chicago White Sox 15-2 victory over the Minnesota Twins on Wednesday night. David Sandlin was excellent in his MLB debut, and the offense just ripped apart Twins pitching. Chase Maedroth, a grand slam. Munetaka Murakami now has 20 home runs this season. We'll be recapping that series between the White Sox and Twins in our next Sox Machine Podcast episode that we'll be recording on Thursday night. This show is our NCAA postseason preview. Regionals start this weekend, which is one of my favorite events on the calendar. All the baseball as games start on Friday and go all the way through Sunday. Unless there's rain, then we could see some games on Monday. UCLA is the number 1 overall seed as they try to go wire to wire, but the SEC has won 6 straight College World Series. So can the Bruins follow Indiana football, Michigan men's basketball, UCLA women's basketball in winning another championship for the Big Ten? And if it's not UCLA, then who? We've seen a top 8 seed get knocked out of regionals the last few years. Shoot, we saw 7 of the 16 regional hosts last year get knocked out in the early round. So to help us preview the NCAA postseason is a good friend of Sox Machine. You can hear him call the Atlanta Regional that features Georgia Tech, Oklahoma, the Citadel, and the University of Illinois Chicago. It's Mike Ferrin. Hello, Mike.
Hello,
Happy
Josh.
NCAA postseason.
You know, this is the thing. This is one of the things I love about. There are a lot of things that I love about you, but one is that you're as big a college baseball fan as I am, and you get that, like, opening day in college baseball, selection Monday, and regional weekend are like the best weekends on the calendar. And like, if you're a baseball fan that wants to experience college baseball and the atmosphere and why those of us who are hooked on it are hooked, this is the weekend to do it, because you'll see these, 4,000 people crowds that are just going crazy. Unless you're watching it Starkville, and then you'll see a 15,000 person crowd that's going crazy, right? The Mississippi State, it's a regional, but it's great. Squeeze play is the best thing that ESPN does. It's a way you can watch like basically every big moment in all the games. Plus, it's got the incredible Mike Rooney on the desk, who's one of my dearest friends, and the best thing about college baseball is Runes, because he's the ambassador of it. So it's going to be a great weekend. I can't wait. I'm always sad when it's over, right? Because it's just like you anticipate this for 51 weeks, and then you get it and it's so great. It's like Christmas. So.
And we just had the conference tournaments.
Yeah.
You called the ACC tournament. I was at the Big Ten tournament. It's been a lot of college baseball for Mike and I. The last week, not complaining at all. Nope. Mike, you could watch him on the ACC Network. Georgia Tech, the number 2 seed overall, will be facing UIC at 11 a.m. Central Time. And then the other game for the Atlanta Regional will be at 4 p.m. Central Time with Oklahoma and the Citadel. So from a macro point of view, Mike, a lot of people have been talking about the bracket itself. How do you feel about this year's bracket?
Yeah, I think it was pretty good. I mean, I think there were a couple of, like, every year, I feel like they get about 63 and 64 the way that I would like them, and probably 15 of the 16 hosts. And that's kind of the way I felt there. I think Arkansas had a case over Mississippi State, but it wasn't like a slam dunk case. I think Mercer rightfully is upset that they didn't get in over Kentucky. But I also think that, listen, that there was not a whole lot of meat on the bone on their resume other than their RPI. And, the Kentucky one was just, the committee does not value series wins as much as I think the rest of us who cover it do. Most conferences play best 2 out of 3s on the weekend. And in the case of the SEC, it's 10 consecutive weekends. Kentucky won 2 series. And they lost 2 of those 8 series to the 2 worst teams in the league, in South Carolina and in Mizzou. And so, like, it's a really tough resume when you only have 13 wins and you have all of those, even with the non-conference wins and playing in the toughest conference and all of those things. So, that was the tough one for me, but it's not like it was an indefensible pick on the committee. I thought the negative marks on their resume were more significant than the people that selected them did.
And watch, they make a run now all the way to the College World Series.
Well, 2022, right? Ole Miss did that, right? They were the last team. Now, it was a little different Ole Miss team. They were ranked number 1 at one point during the year, and they had injuries and inconsistency. And then, Hunter Elliott, who's actually still there, he's going to start actually one of the better Friday games against Cole Carlone for Arizona State. He helped to put them on their shoulder, and Tim Elko, White Sox legend, was a huge part of that. There's a freaking statue of Tim Elko outside of Swayze Field. So, and I'm not making that up. There literally is a statue of Tim Elko out there. So, yeah, you can be the last team in and win.
The legend of Jacob Gonzalez, future first-round pick of the White Sox.
He's swinging the bat well.
He is. He's finding his rhythm. So, eventually, we'll see on how Kentucky does. I'm with you. I thought Mercer should have been in, but after watching Michigan and Purdue in person, I'm hoping Kentucky does some damage, because it would have been nice to see another Big Ten team. The Big Ten has 4 teams in the postseason. The SEC, I believe, has 9 teams, and the SEC has done
12.
12 teams.
SEC has 12. ACC has 9, yeah.
That's it. I had those mixed up. 12 SEC teams, and the SEC has done well, but some of them do get upset. So when we look at the regionals themselves, Mike, who has the toughest regional in the opening weekend for the hosts?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a couple that stand out. I think one of the things that the committee did really well was it's a fairly balanced field. And those teams that are in the 13, 14, 15, 16, for the most part, have, to me, the toughest regionals, with one exception that I'll get to in a second. So Nebraska has a tough road. Now, this is the best Nebraska team in almost 20 years. But we just highlighted Ole Miss, and Ole Miss's rotation is really good, and they hit a lot of solo homers, right? So Haymarket Ballpark is going to play pretty small in Lincoln. Arizona State has as much talent as anybody in the country. It hasn't been consistent for Sparky, but when they play well, it's pretty impressive. So that's one of the spots that I would look at. I think, in Lawrence, right, or the Kansas Regional, they've got Arkansas, Missouri State, who are strangely bitter rivals. Like, there's a lot of history between those 2 teams from regionals and super regionals past. And Missouri State isn't afraid of Arkansas. So that's kind of fun. But Kansas has never hosted a regional before. They won the Big 12 regular season and tournament, and they don't have an easy path. And then I think, the one in Morgantown too, and I love that West Virginia team, but I also think Wake Forest is a real sleeper. That's where Kentucky is. Wake Forest throws the ball harder on average than any team in the country. And they punch more tickets than I think all but one team in the country. I mean, they have a huge strikeout rate. Now they'll walk some guys. That's part of the problem. They're all freshmen and sophomores too. It is a really electric pitching staff, and their offense is pretty good. And they were the 2 seed that I think everybody should be the most worried about because of the arm talent. So I think those are the ones that are the toughest. The other one I'd add is they didn't do North Carolina any favors with who they put in their regional. North Carolina is the 5 seed, but Tennessee is a good team. East Carolina is not afeared to go to the Bosch. Those two play one of the coolest non-conference series every year, where it's a traveling series where they play one game in Chapel Hill, they play one game at a neutral site, and they play one game in Greenville. It's awesome. And it's always the most intense series. Oh yeah, it's one of the best. It's like what Clemson and South Carolina do, where they play, they play one at each home ballpark, and then they play another at a traveling site, like at a neutral site. It's so cool. And it's, I think for me, outside of that series, the battle for South Carolina, it is the most intense early season non-con series. So that's going to be fun. But I also think that North Carolina team is good enough that they should handle that regional. They're really good.
It's funny, when I was getting my lift to the airport leaving Omaha, my Lyft driver was lamenting about who was in the Lincoln Regional. And he said, the state of Nebraska is the biggest conspiracy theory state in the country. Everybody feels like they're out to get to us. And that's how everybody feels in Nebraska, is that the NCAA is out to get them, putting Ole Miss and Arizona State in their regional. That's the one that I have circled. It'll be a tough road for the Cornhuskers, but if they can hold on at home, they will be battle tested for super regionals. A top 8 seed, for whatever reason, Mike, seems to get knocked out in regionals. You mentioned North Carolina having a tough road. Out of the top 8 seeds, who is in most danger of not advancing to super regionals?
I think Texas has been a little bit banged up. I think, I'm really curious to see what Santa Barbara does in that regional. I think they have the best pitcher in the country in Jackson Flora, and there's a chance that they could save him for a 1-0 game. That's risky, right? Because you need to win. Really what happens, because it's a double elimination format. If you win your first 2 games, you're in the driver's seat. But that 1-0 game on Saturday night, that's the electric game. And if they want to try and beat Tarleton State, who's in the tournament for the first time, with one of their other pitchers, and they're very good on the mound overall, it would make sense to save Flora with the idea that Texas is probably going to handle Holy Cross pretty well. So I think that's one that is dangerous. I also think that Alabama, Alabama's been a really weird team this year, and that they've won. And it's not like Rob Vaughn's club is devoid of talent. They have some really good arms. The freshman Miles Upchurch is going to be special, but he's still a freshman, and they have not necessarily been consistent. And their star player, Justin LeBron, has not had a consistent season. And he's gone from being, a top 5 pick to being somewhere in the middle of the first round. Oklahoma State is tough. They're healthier than they generally are. They're down one key arm in TP Wentworth, who is the right fielder and a key arm for them, a two-way player who transferred from Clemson. He had Tommy John surgery. So they're a little shorter there, but they play some really talented offensive freshmen. They have 6 good arms, so they basically can piggyback through 3 games. And the offense is terrifying. I mean, absolutely terrifying. I had them for 2 games in Phoenix against ASU, and it's just like they come off the bus and they look like they're ready to take your lunch money, and they don't celebrate it, right? Like they play Josh Holliday, Matt Holliday's older brother, is the head coach there. And Josh, there's no celebration. It's very old school. They don't pimp. They just go in, they take care of your business, and they carry themselves like, we came here to do 2 things: kick your ass and chew bubble gum, and we just ran out of bubble gum. And they do it, and they're really good. So I think Alabama is pretty vulnerable in that one, just because I think Oklahoma State, it's been a while since they've been through the supers. This feels like a year that they can get there.
Yeah, I'm with you. I had both Alabama and Texas. On paper, there's very few teams that I think can challenge UCLA. And Texas, I think, could be one of them if they ever got into a series with UCLA. I'm with you. If UC Santa Barbara holds back Jackson Flora on Saturday, one, you're going to have every MLB team represented at that game.
Just about. Yeah. Yeah, that's a great point.
With all of the prospects. I mean, man, Aiden Robbins, I mean, as a hitter for Texas, you can get bumped up because if you can get a hit against Flora, that'd be great on your resume tape. But yeah, those two, Texas and Alabama. So again, two SEC schools that I think are in danger. UCLA's got to play better. I mean, we saw the number 1 seed Vanderbilt go down last year. We saw the number 2 seed Texas go down. UCLA can't always rely on ninth inning magic. So I'm keeping an eye on them. Weird things happen to teams that try to go wire to wire, Mike.
Yeah, and I think, the other part is that they haven't had Logan Redeman, who's their ace. And it sounds like he's going to be back in some capacity, and that'll be a big addition. But, they play St. Mary's in the opening game, and St. Mary's is – they should. But Eric Valenzuela, who's their head coach, is literally a Golden Gloves boxer, and his teams play like fighters. So it's not going to be – they're not going to be afraid of them. Cal Poly – beat UCLA this year in the midweek, right? That was the first UCLA loss, I think, was to Cal Poly, who was the Big West tournament champion. And they faced Virginia Tech, who I just got a chance to see. I love this Virginia Tech roster. They have arms. They have a superstar freshman in Ethan Ball, who is he hit 3 tanks in the ACC tournament that were all over 400 feet and all to the middle of the field. I'm talking dead center. And it's whippy and quick. And it's kind of this is going to be a weird comp, but if you pull up video, you might see it. The hands work a little like Jazz Chisholm. Yeah. They're fast. And he's kind of that same build as Jazz. So he's a really interesting player. And their head coach, John Sheff, used to coach at Maryland. And Maryland in 2015 went to number 1 overall UCLA and won that regional. So he's been there and done that. And that was a really talented Maryland team. They lost in supers to the eventual national champion in Virginia, but that was a Maryland team that was an Omaha caliber team. And there's a ton of that's Brandon Lau, Kevin Smith, Mike Shawarren, Jose Quas was their third baseman, not a reliever. He was their third baseman, Lamont Wade Jr. They were loaded with big leaguers. So, and this Virginia Tech team has a lot of guys who are going to play in the big leagues. So, yeah, on paper, UCLA should win that pretty easy, but Virginia Tech is scary. And if they do get through and they have to face either Wake Forest with all of those arms, or I think West Virginia is one of the best teams that I've seen all year, one of the most complete teams, and they can really pitch and they put a ton of pressure on you. And they play kind of a West Coast style, which would play well at Jackie Robinson Stadium. I just don't think that their path to Omaha is a slam dunk.
Yeah, I am with you. So keep an eye on how UCLA does. Of course, White Sox fans are going to be watching UCLA baseball. For Rock Chalowski reasons. Again, 7 of the 16 regional hosts were knocked out last year. In 2024, 6 hosts were knocked out. In 2023, 7 hosts were knocked out. So expect chaos in the opening round.
Big thanks to our sponsor, BetterHelp, for partnering with us for this important conversation about mental health.
This is Steve Smith here, former NFL wide receiver and host of the 89 show on YouTube. So having a counselor and working with BetterHelp, that gives you an opportunity to really start to unpack. But people don't understand, when you unpack things, you also open up a box that you're not always sure what's inside. So I think that's why seeing a professional is extremely important. If you need someone to open up to, visit BetterHelp. That's betterhelp.com/89 to get started.
And we saw that last year. Speaking of UCLA, they did pick up a College World Series win from a team that was very unexpected to be in Omaha, and that was Murray State last year, Mike.
Mm-hmm.
So one of my favorite preview questions when it comes to the postseason, what number 3 or number 4 seed could make the College World Series?
Yeah, that's a really good question. And I'm assuming you're looking at ones that are more mid-major teams than they are the power ones, because we do have power. We have power 3 seeds, right? Like Arizona State, NC State are 3 seeds.
Yeah.
I think those are the ones that I think one to keep an eye on is Liberty. They have a little Ben Blair. I think they're really good. I think Missouri State is kind of scary. They're not afraid. They hit for power. Traditionally, it's a really good program. They've had a bunch of big leaguers. Jake Berger played there, Ryan Howard. And again, they're not going to be afraid of facing Arkansas. So I think they're one that I would look at. And the Troy Trojans. So the Sun Belt got more bids than the Big Ten. And for me, like if you're to call this a Power Five, right? They call the Group of Six now in football, right? With the Pac-12 coming back in. So if you're going to call it a Power Five, the Sun Belt is the fifth. And really, I think it's a deeper conference generally than the Big Ten is. Big Ten is just so many teams, right? And it's like they only got 4 in. But Troy is really good. Skylar Meade is an excellent coach. I mean, he's going to be on the short list for like the South Carolina job. And Troy is a dangerous 3 seed. Now their challenge is that they have to go through Gainesville, right? Like, which is, I think Florida is loaded this year. That's going to be a very difficult team to beat, but they certainly would have the elements, I think, of a 3 seed to be able to advance. I don't see a real clear one in any of these where I go, man, I would be willing to stake a claim to this mid-major moving on, right? Or this small conference school moving on. I think the ones that have the best chances this year are teams like Arizona State, NC State, who is banged up on the mound. I think even Kentucky, because they can pitch. I think those are the ones that I would say that I think are better suited to winning a regional for the most part, maybe outside of Missouri State.
The one that I like is Jacksonville State. That is a senior.
I've had a great year.
Yeah, that is a senior loaded pitching staff. I'm going with the Gamecocks. I am so bold on D1 base.
Eli Pillsbury, is that their ace?
Yes.
Just the new Pillsbury throw boy. It's a left-handed thumber. And Steve Beezer's a great coach. He was at Mizzou for years.
Yeah.
This is a great story. They won the Conference USA regular season and tournament title. Yeah, I mean they're good, man, and they're not going to be afraid to go to Hattiesburg either.
No, and that is also, we didn't talk about that regional. That regional is also very tough. I have Jacksonville State out of all of the 3 and 4s. I think they have the best chance of reaching the College World Series. It's a very veteran team. Again, we're shooting in the dark here because nobody expected Murray State to make it to the College World Series last year. And that's
nobody
what makes
expected Oral Roberts in 23.
Yeah.
I mean, they were a 4 seed too, yet again. So, yeah.
Who is a player for our podcast listeners out of this entire tournament that you would say, Mike, stop what you are doing. They're playing right now. You must watch them. Who is the most player to watch in this tournament?
I mean, I think you could pick anybody in the Georgia Tech lineup and you'd be fine. Like, I think that's really, I think Vahn Lackey is the guy. I mean, he's going to be a top 5 pick. He's a catcher who has a tremendous throwing arm. His caught stealing percentage isn't particularly high this year, but he was the ACC Defensive Player of the Year. He's elite. I think he's one guy that I would say I would put at the top of that list as a must watch, but there's a lot of guys and there's some guys that I think are, the other one would be Landon Hairston. He hasn't been pitched to very much, but the Arizona State sophomore, he's the son of Scott Hairston, nephew of Jerry Hairston Jr., obviously the grandson of the great Jerry Hairston. And he is an elite level hitter and is going to be probably a finalist for the Golden Spikes Award as a sophomore. The last sophomore, by the way, to win the Golden Spikes Award, Andrew Vaughn. Yeah. So there's a good White Sox tie in there too, right? So, but I think he's another one that I would watch the at-bats, but really I think it's Lackey because he touches the ball every pitch. But there's so many, have you watched Auburn at all this year?
Occasionally, but that is a very strong team.
Their second baseman is incredible. And I don't know that Bub Terrell is going to be a big pro prospect because I think it's a little aggressive approach, but holy crap, is that guy a lot of fun to watch play baseball. He's just it's a ball of energy and real power and all of that. And I think, listen, you just saw Oregon. They're terrifying. Yeah. And if you want to hey, watch this guy for the draft 2 years from now, Angel Laya is incredible. So it's tough for me to narrow it down to just one, but I would say Lackey is probably the guy at the top of the list. but I've probably got 40 that I feel like are worth tuning in to watch because I think they're special.
If we do get UC Santa Barbara in Texas, for me, it's Jackson, Florida in that game.
Yeah.
It's tough for people in Chicago to watch Jackson, Florida games. That game, as you mentioned, would be prime time. I'm hoping that if ESPN's got the time slot, I know there's a bunch of NBA playoffs and NHL going on. That would be a game that I bump to ESPN with all of the upcoming MLB draft prospects. Like, that would be the one, podcast listeners, if it does happen, you'll want to make that appointment viewing. It is good that the White Sox and Tigers play at 1 o'clock on Saturday.
Yeah, and the other thing is that pitching matchup would likely be Jackson, Florida, and Dylan Volantis, who is
Dylan's
a very
great.
high pick in next year's draft, right? So that's the other part of it is it's like, oh, by the way, you're going to see like one of the top draft picks for next year too.
We got kind of lucky in this bracket where it's not only 2026 MLB draft, but it's also 2027 MLB draft heavy.
Yes.
Like,
great point. Yeah, I think it really is. And some good 2028s. I mean, basically like all of Wake Forest pitching staff is 2027s or beyond, right? So Chris Lavonis, who's their ace, he was an unsigned second rounder by the Brewers. He's a guy that I think is, he's super exciting, who is a sophomore. 2/3 of the rotation for Oregon, Will Sanford is the one that really stands out to me. He's a guy that I think is is a really good 27 pick. We already talked about Landon Hairston. Hairston is, a superstar already. He's going to be in that mix. So you're right. Like, there are a ton of guys in this that you look at and go, yeah, okay, if we're already looking ahead for another year in the draft, there are some really good 2027s that are going to be competing.
we didn't even mention Brendan Lawson. Like, Lawson could be
and
for
he might be the number
Florida.
1 overall pick. Yeah.
Lawson could be the one, podcast listeners, that could take over this tournament. Like, if Florida goes deep, they have 2 excellent starting pitchers in Aiden King, who I think the world of. Liam Peterson, man, there are some nights where it's like he's a top 10 pick, and there are some nights where like, what is going on? He can be a little inconsistent, but Brendan Lawson is the real deal. Like, he is very good, and I have a feeling that if you, podcast listeners, when you watch this tournament and you notice who's 2027 eligible and who's 2026 eligible, you might go, shoot, I wish the White Sox had the number 1 pick next year. Because I feel like the class of college players is a little bit stronger as this season has went on. The sophomores have been super impressive this year.
Yeah, I mean, I think the good news is that even if the White Sox are in the middle of the first round next year, that there should be some really good 2027s for them to pick from.
Absolutely.
Listen, I know, again, everybody's dreaming of a postseason berth based on the way that they've played so far, but realistically, they probably finish a little bit up the track, and if they do, they're going to be well positioned because next year's draft is pretty stacked.
Yes. So finally, our College World Series championship picks. So if you want to be brave and pick a winner, I'll let you do it. But at the end of the tournament, which 2 schools will be playing against each other for the national championship, Mike?
Yeah. So, I mean, it's not going to go this way, but I want it to go this way because the thing that I've wanted more than anything all year is for UCLA and Georgia Tech to play a 3-game series.
Yeah.
I want that really badly. I think they're the 2 best lineups in the country. I think it would be superstar power because, Chalowski's gotten a lot of attention, but you've seen Roman Martin, Will Gasparino, Mulavai Lavu. Those are legit dudes. And with Logan Redeman on the mound, if he's healthy, he's big time. There are 5 first-team All-ACC performers in the lineup for Georgia Tech. We talked about Lackey. Drew Burris is their all-time home run leader. Yeah. He's also going to go in the top 10. Jaron Advincula is probably going to be at the first-round pick as their second baseman. Carson Kearse has played his way into the top 2 rounds as their shortstop. Ryan Zuckerman leads them in home runs, plays great defense at third base. Probably a 4th rounder. He was also the most outstanding player of the ACC tournament. So they've got 5 guys in their lineup that are legit day 1 draft picks. So that to me is like, because in the end, I still always view things through a professional lens, a pro baseball lens. And that's what I want to see. I would like to see those teams match.
When I did my D1baseball.com bracket, Mike, before the College World Series, the semifinal I have is UCLA against Auburn and Georgia Tech against Georgia. Can you imagine?
Oh, we get the top 4 seeds.
Can you imagine a Georgia Tech Georgia game in Omaha?
Oh my goodness. I mean, I think that would be incredible. I mean, I think we were kind of upset that they were on other sides of the bracket just because.
Yeah. But the theater,
like we don't get that in the finals, but it's just like, if we get a 1 versus 2, it's going to be must watch. It's going to be must watch with those two teams. So I don't think we're going to in the end. The odds are long, but if it happens, watch it.
Yeah. And I think the X factor for UCLA is going to be their closer, Easton Hawk, who just pitched 3 innings in the Big Ten championship game and hit 99 miles an hour. I would love that championship. I'm with you, UCLA and Georgia Tech. Hopefully we get that. Last year, we were kind of thinking, could Vanderbilt and Texas do it? And again, both of them got knocked out of regionals. So knock on wood, that has not happened this year. Hopefully we get the best teams get far.
In fairness, both of those teams were like, Texas had a good first half and Vanderbilt had a good finish last year. Neither of those teams were as talented as the 1 and 2 teams this year. Really the top 4 or 5, I would say, through North Carolina. Yeah. Like if North Carolina doesn't get to Omaha, it's an upset. That team is, I think their offense is vastly underrated. You need to watch some of Owen Hull. Like that guy's going to go a little bit further down in the draft, but it's real tools as a center fielder, and they're pitching. They have a freshman in Caden Glauber who is like, it is Walker Buehler. Yeah. Like his arm is so fast, and he is their like relief ace, and he is awesome.
It's going to be a very fun postseason. Again, it starts on Friday morning. So if you're working from home on one monitor, have Quick Pitch on. And again, you can watch Mike 11 a.m. Central Time, his first pitch between Georgia Tech and the University of Illinois, Chicago. And that's going to be on the ACC Network. So there you can hear Mike call the game. And of course, you can hear him all the time on Sirius XM, on MLB Network Radio, and SXM College Radio as well. As always, Mike, this is so much fun. I hope you have a great time in Atlanta. I hope the games are fantastic. I know you'll do a great job calling them. And enjoy the postseason, my friend.
Well, you too. And I can't wait to see you soon. So I'll see you in a couple months.
Yes, sir. That will do it for this episode of the Sox Machine Podcast. Thank you so much for listening. If you just discovered the Sox Machine Podcast, you can subscribe to the show wherever you listen to podcasts, such as Spotify and Apple Music. Check out our videos as well on our YouTube channel at youtube.com/Sox Machine. As we cover the games, we'll have behind the scenes video and post-game pressers as well. So we have all those types of videos on our YouTube channel. If you do watch our videos on our YouTube channel, please hit the subscribe button. We greatly appreciate it. You can follow us on social media. We're on all the platforms at Sox Machine. You can follow James Fegan at JRFegan. You can follow me at SoxMachine_Josh. We continue to have our subscription sale. As long as the White Sox are above 500, and they're still above 500, you can sign up for 51 cents in the first month and then $5 a month afterwards on our subscription page at soxmachine.com/products. A Sox Machine subscription gets you the ad-free version of both the website and the podcast. Also unlocks the comment section, and you get access to all of our coverage of the Chicago White Sox, Major League Baseball, and the upcoming Major League Baseball draft. So if you enjoy our work and you want more, you can get more at soxmachine.com/products. The Sox Machine Podcast is a production of soxmachine.com. You're on for all things Chicago White Sox baseball and part of the Blue Wire Podcast Network. I'm Josh Nelson. Thanks for listening and watching.